YouTube, what the crap's going on? Heir of Heavy Cavalry here, and we're going to be doing something fun today. I don't have any battles. I've been fighting a bunch still with Dav and Indy. I'm going to actually try and get together with Turin sometime this next week. I'd love to get him on, challenge myself, which I'm sure he'll give me a face beating, but I would love to get some tips from him on domination gameplay because he plays a little more. But today I wanted to bring you something. I didn't have a human player with me, so this won't be ideal, but there's a lot of new Heavy Cavalry in the game. Khorne gets these Skull Crushers. There's even a Regiment of Renown version. The Ogres get Crushers with great weapons. So Demigryphs Knights were the old standard bearers of heavy AP anti-large cavalry. They're a monstrous form of it, of course. So what I wanted to do was bring the old standard bearers, the Demigryph Knights. You see their stats here. And I wanted to bring them to clash with some of their new counterparts. Some of these clashes won't be perfect. Like right over here, the Herald of Khorne kind of got in on this fight too, and that one didn't charge quite right. But we got a good, clean charge here on this fight. The Skull Crushers of Khorne are far more expensive. They have the same number of unit models, but they also have really heavy armor. A little bit heavier than the Demigryph Knights, and they've got really solid defense and attack. And no surprise, they win with about half there. So Skull Crushers are definitely stronger than Demigryph Knights. They need to be. They cost considerably more. I want to say they're about 300 gold more, but for 300 gold more, that is a decisive victory. But to be fair, Khorne really does need this tool. This is a very expensive cavalry piece, and Khorne's other anti-large options are basically just infantry for the most part, other than I think the Bloodletter being, a big monster or something like that you can bring. And so this unit right here absolutely crushes the Demigryph Knight in terms of value. However, I think that it's fair still because it's a more expensive unit, and like I said, Khorne needs it in their roster right now. Now, the roster of Khorne will change over time, so maybe things change. But right now, just in case you were wondering, with no other factors at play, no healing, no magic, which of course Khorne doesn't have magic, but no abilities or anything else, Skull Crushers absolutely crush Demigryph Knights. And if you look at the value here on these two Demigryph Knights, this is the one that didn't get beaten as badly in that combat. It actually got some kills and got some value, but I mean, look at this. This is the one that killed that one unit. Easy way to pick up its value. It was clean in house. This is the one that didn't get the charge. So with the Skull Crushers against Demigryph Knights, it's clearly very important to get the charge. Don't let the Empire bait the charge, and get your Skull Crushers into combat where they're going to be supported with like a bunch of healing. You're going to definitely have to watch out if someone pops a regrowth on them, or an overcast, Earthblood, because I think that'll be like close to 800 hit points. So yeah, you'll have to be very careful with that, but just one for one, no abilities involved. Skull Crushers are significantly stronger than Demigryph Knights. It's not a big surprise. That's what the stats looked like, so no surprise here. Let's move on and check out another unit. Now, Crushers with great weapons, they're just beastly. The giant guts, the tattered pants, these big, Rhinox, I believe is the creature they're riding on. Crushers with great weapons are a terrifying heavy cavalry unit. They are very slow, but they pack a massive wallop. Now, they have also very low model count, only 9 versus 24 on the Demigryph Knights, but I expect the Crushers will win this going away, and for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's going to be easier for the Crushers to kill Demigryph models. Look at that, one of them's already dead. And as your unit loses models, it's outputting less damage, whereas the Crushers have more hit points, and it's going to be harder for my Demigryph Knights. Look how quickly this Crusher over here just put down the Demigryph Knight. Look at that. Absolutely smashed that Demigryph Knight, and then the other one too. So Crushers with great weapons, I think, are probably the strongest AP anti-large cavalry in the game. And I don't know how they do against single entities. That's not what I'm testing today, right? I'm testing them against their counterparts, or somewhat counterpart type units. So that's what I was expecting here. But I mean, again, this is outside the influence of magic, outside the influence of abilities. The Crushers with great weapons are brutally effective against Demigryph Knights. In fact, they're going to have no problem coming over there and helping to finish off Boris. I'll let you see the stats on them here real quick, just for, curiosity's sake. Both of them killing almost the same amount, easily picking up a ton of value very quick. Now, they're very expensive units, Crushers. I believe they're around 1,800 gold. Very expensive units. They have low model count. There's ups and downs to the low model count. The ups is that there's more hit points for each model. The downside is when you lose a model, it's a bigger loss. So like I said, kind of trade-offs that go in and off there. But so Crushers with great weapons, again, no surprise, way better than Demigryph Knights with halberds. As again, they probably need to be. The ogres fight different than the Empire. Now, some people may be really mad here because they'd be like, dang, those Demigryph Knights aren't even hitting anywhere near their value. They're not. They're not getting anywhere. Well, I mean, this one did okay, but this one didn't even get close. It was a little over half of its value. So they don't trade good with these units, and which is insane because Demigryph Knights are made for, you know, a fight against large, right? But they're just so out of their league here. Now, does that mean Demigryph Knights need to be buffed? I don't know. We need time. Just remember, the Empire has all kinds of different tools than the Ogres. They have nets. The Ogres do not. You can net the Crushers with great weapons and charge them for free. The Empire has healing. Of course, the Trolls have healing as well. The Empire has lots of different magic. They have lots of missile units that the Ogres do not. They have missile cavalry that the Ogres do not. So that's why I say, like, when you just look at this in a vacuum, which is what we're doing, we're looking at it in a vacuum, it's interesting. Crushers are certainly far stronger in a head-on fight. But the reason why I'm not just going to come out and say, oh, this is OP, is because there's other factors that will play in. There's too many of them for me to possibly test all of them. So that's why we're just kind of doing this head-to-head and see where it goes. But anyway, I think that's where Crushers probably should be. They cost a lot. They should be dominating lesser units in that field. But let's go take a look at some more matchups because there's more interesting ones out there. All right, so Heartseekers are not exactly a peer of Demigryph Knights. They have more models. They're a 45 count. They're actually a light cavalry. They have very little armor, and they're very fast. But they deal massive armor-piercing damage, and they get a lot of crazy bonuses if they're flanking and other stuff like that. Now, I never would expect this to be a great fight for Demigryph Knights because this isn't exactly what they're geared for. The Heartseekers, in my opinion, are actually geared to get you pretty decent value, especially if you can ruin the charge. Look at this unit over here. The two are just annihilating each other. There's no defense, or there's defense, but there's no armor for the Heartseekers. So every bit of that Demigryph Knight damage is going through. But the Heartseekers just start dealing more damage. They have more unit models, and they deal massive damage. So they're going to actually turn that fight. This one fled away from me. So you can see here with the Heartseekers, you're actually, like, if you can just get a square engagement against Demigryph Knights, you should probably take it. I think the Heartseekers are a hair cheaper, and they're actually winning here in just a head-on collision. Now, the ultimate would be, as the Heartseekers, to use another unit to kind of block the Demigryph Knights, and then get your free charge. And if you do that, the Heartseekers will be absurdly effective. But even still, they were very effective. Look at this, too. Sigvald absolutely making short work of Boris. I didn't expect Boris to get his face kicked in that hard by Sigvald, but he did. But yeah, so again, this is not exactly a peer-to-peer matchup, but I thought I would show this one because Heartseekers are roughly in that same price range. They're not exactly the same unit by function, but just to show you that there are bad trades to make with the Demigryph Knight as well. So you might think, oh, well, this is my best anti-large tool. Well, you definitely want to block the charge of that Heartseeker. Use a net. I think nets are going to be a powerful tool against Slaanesh, and you'll definitely want some healing as well. Slaanesh can't heal the same that the Empire can, so the Empire would have to make up for it elsewhere, but still, an impressive showing by the Heartseekers here. Again, a light cavalry against a heavy cavalry, but and we'll talk about light cavalry, I think, another day. I'd like to get out Centaur's great weapons, Heartseekers, Wild Riders. Like, I'd love to get out all of the light cavalry in the game and take a look at who's the best of the best there. I think Heartseekers would hands down run away with the best light cavalry. But not to say, you know, that the Wild Riders, especially the Hunters of Kurnos version, would probably be right up there near the top. But at the same time, again, very impressive performance from Heartseekers. I'm not surprised. Heartseekers are absolutely brutal, especially in campaign when they get even more benefits from their lord and stuff, but still, even in multiplayer, absolutely brutal unit, very capable. You can see, like I said, I think they're a hair cheaper than these standard Demigryph Knights. This unit right here was the Demigryph Knight I had that was chasing a fleeing Heartseeker, so that's the only reason why it got the kills it did. The other unit went head-to-head with one and actually got beat. So in a head-to-head fight, it looks like the Demigryph Knights lose. If they get a slightly different fight, the Demigryph Knights will win. If the Demigryph Knights don't get a charge, then the Heartseekers are going to absolutely destroy them. So I think that there's a couple of factors that play in. Again, net would be your friend against Slaanesh. I'm actually going to fast-forward this for a minute. Look at Sigvald tanking them out, and then he'll tank out all these Demigryph Knights too. So Sigvald came to show off while he was here too, which is funny. But yeah, watch out for Sigvald. He's there and he's tough. Let's take a look at the values on these just for fun. Again, I know these tests aren't perfect. There's not another human on the other side. I didn't have one available. But look at that, 2,086 value on that Heartseeker that just went head-to-head with my Demigryph Knights and then attacked the next unit. But then, you know, see this Demigryph Knight here where the Heartseeker's got a less than solid engagement. This Demigryph Knight did very well. And the one that didn't, this is the one that went head-to-head, it did terrible. So again, interesting. Let's go take a look at some more cavalry matchup. The mighty Warbear Riders of Kislev. They basically look like a winged lancer with a pole arm on bareback here. Makes it sound like bareback horse riding. No, this is just a literal bear riding on its back, of course. Now, the Warbear Riders have half the models of a Demigryph Knight. They have quite a lot more damage. Look at 6192 total health pool, which is a little bigger health pool than Demigryph Knights, though their melee defense is a little better. And then as far as charge goes, the Demigryph Knights get a stronger charge bonus. So let's check this out, see what we get here. I was thinking that this would be a closer matchup than some of the others we've seen. Warbear Riders cost 100 more gold than Demigryph Knights with halberds. So they're slightly more expensive. You would hope that the Bear Riders would win here. But we'll see, because like I said, less models, things can play out a little different. This fight, it certainly looks like the Warbear Riders winning. And also remember, Kislev has this ability, I'm trying to remember what it's called, like the blood, what is it? Yeah, by our blood. So when their leadership wavers, they get 30 seconds of unbreakable, and that actually helped them win that fight. So they pushed that Demigryph Knight out, so a close victory. This one won a slightly more decisive victory. So Warbear Riders appear to be in just about the right spot. They cost a little more than Demigryph Knights, and they appear to be just a little bit better. So that's going to be where Warbear Riders land in the Demigryph Knight matchup. So that kind of shows us, and I may have forgotten some units, but I think that's pretty much all the heavy cavalry from the new factions in the game, and you get a good feel for where they stack up against the old standard bear. Now, I know Demigryph Knights weren't just hands down like the best anti-large AP in the game prior to all this, right? Because they had been nerfed a little bit. In my mind, they were the standard bearer. They're like the measuring stick, right? Demigryph Knights were what you measured other units by because they had for so long been such a big part of the game. Now, both of these Demigryph Knights did okay value-wise. This one got basically its value back out of it, so maybe a fair trade. And this one didn't quite. The Warbear Raiders, on the other hand, did very well value-wise because they ended up going and taking some chunks out of Boris as well. But yeah, so Warbear Raiders, just a little bit better, okay? They've got one paw in front of the Demigryph Knights. So now, we've seen that. We measured the new heavy cavalry units against Demigryph Knights. But which one's the best? Who wins in a head-on fight? Skull Crushers or Crushers with great weapons? I wanted to know, so let's go check it out. Now, this is going to be a true clash of heavyweights. I mean, you're talking some heavy metal, seriously powerful chaos cavalry here. Skull Crushers going headlong into Crushers with great weapons. I feel like the Crushers with great weapons would probably win this just looking at the stats, but I don't want to write off Skull Crushers because they are a very powerful unit. There's more models for the Skull Crushers. Once again, lower model count for the Ogres. Those things have their ups and downs. The Herald did get over here and kind of mess us up a bit. I'm bringing in a Tyrant to try and keep him busy, so this fight's probably a little tainted here on the right. But this fight over here on the left was very clean. Good solid charge between both units. And it is a fairly tight fight. I mean, the Demigryph guys didn't get anywhere near this much damage on the Ogre Crusher. So the Skull Crushers for Khorne definitely put up a solid fight here. They didn't quite win, but you know, maybe if they had like one of the abilities from Khorne that increased their damage or their melee output, like an army ability or a lord ability, maybe they could carry that one. But also remember that Crushers are likely to be supported by stuff like Troll Guts as well, and with Troll Guts, Crushers are going to be an absolute nightmare to bring down. So Crushers with great weapons are the top. They're the cream of the crop when it comes to AP anti-large cavalry. I mean, even Skull Crushers at Khorne right here took a pretty sound beating from these units. So, I mean, that is an impressive showing for the Crushers with great weapons, because the Skull Crushers at Khorne are definitely no slouch of a unit. They are very powerful. Look at the Tyrant over here finishing off the Herald, too. Tyrants are pretty tough. Well, fun Ogre units. Ogres are honestly a pretty strong faction. They have definite downsides. Like, you can bring a lot of large and counter them somewhat, but they definitely have some powerful units. And it makes it very fun to see their units. So let's go check this out real quick on the screen. There was one more matchup that we're going to go show you because I was just very curious with it. But yeah, Crushers with great weapons appear to be the business here. Like, they are the new standard bearer, if you will. If anything can take them in a head-to-head fight, then we'll know that we truly have another great unit out on the battlefield. But what an impressive showing by the Crushers with great weapons. Not a bad showing, honestly, for one of the Skull Crushers here. I think this is the one that had just a more straight head-to-head clash. The AI was kind of pulling this other unit out a little bit and screwed up its value. But, I mean, it's not enough to pay for themselves. But you can see that the Skull Crushers did better than any other unit had. All right, what's the one last matchup that I'm curious about for this one? Well, let me show you. Previously, in Total War Warhammer, Ethereal Hex Wraiths were the bane of all heavy cavalry. Ethereal units had massive physical resistance and really good AP, and without magic damage from, say, like a Grail Knight, the Hex Wraiths would just shred enemy heavy cavalry. However, remember that Hex Wraiths have changed. Like other Ethereal units, they're now only 55% resistant to magic, so they're far less resistant. Unfortunately for me, this Tyrant also got over here with the Chillgeist and is kind of messing that fight up, so I hate that. But we're going to get a pretty clean engagement between the Hex Wraiths and the Skull Crushers, and at first it was pretty even. The Skull Crushers, though, are starting to pull ahead here. The Hex Wraiths are losing model, and their leadership's falling apart. The stats are far lower on the Hex Wraiths. It's really just their physical resistance that kind of holds them together in this fight. Now, the Skull Crushers pulled back here because the AI is stupid. And when they pull back, the Chillgeist are going to start catching up in that fight. But again, this is pretty representative here of what a standard Hex Wraith would do into a Crusher with great weapon. Now remember, this is no support for the Vampire, so there's not like a Blood Knight rolling with it. There's no Invocation of Nehek. There's no zombie summons or anything else like that. The Ogres are not using Troll Guts, right? It's aside from all that. The Hex Wraith did pretty well. I mean, it got these things down to about half health with 0 support. That the Chillgeist actually ended up cutting this one down because it ran away from them. And obviously, you never want to run from the Chillgeist. You can't anyway. The Chillgeist slow you down even more than they used to because all Hex Wraiths now have Frostbite. But then the Chillgeist also have the Chilling Aura to slow things down even further. So you cannot pull back from the Chillgeist unless you have a unit doing some serious blocking, and even then you may not be able to pull back still. So Chillgeist ended up doing a little better here, but it's mostly just because the AI is stupid, so don't read into that one too much, though I would be curious to see exactly how this unit performs in a much more clean fight, as their cost is more similar to a Crusher with great weapon. But in any case, a very impressive performance still from the Crushers, but whereas the Wraiths we saw in my video the other day, it felt like maybe they had gotten a bit of a buff in their role. I mean, this is actually kind of a nerf to Hex Wraiths, in my opinion. And the reason I say that is because a lot of these heavy cavalry aren't carrying magic attacks anyway. Grail Knights are some of the only ones I can think of that did that. And so having the loss of physical resistance is basically just a straight-up nerf. Now, there is a lot more magic damage on the battlefield, period, especially with like Tzeentch and other people like that around. So in some ways, it's not a nerf. In this case, it's a nerf. Overall, it will certainly, I think, still be a benefit for the Hex Wraiths to have this. But again, it's very situational. So again, you saw the Cairn Wraiths the other day. It was very helpful for them to have the change in physical resistance in the battle against my Cathay. In this battle, not so much. But I guarantee you, if Tzeentch were on the other side of the battlefield, yeah. Oh my gosh. The reduction in physical resistance is going to be huge. So going to be a big change. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed this. Give you some idea how heavy cavalry is performing in Immortal Empire, so you know what to expect whenever you fire up your first campaign or you jump into multiplayer. If this was helpful, let me know. If it wasn't, also let me know and tell me how I could do better with it. Obviously, I know that having a person would be better. It just wasn't possible last night. There was no one free for me to do it with them last night, and I ran out of time. But I am going to be playing more battles, like I said, with Indy, Dov, and hopefully Turin soon. I'll try and catch him too. Turin's awesome as well. So yeah, we'll get you more battles, and I'll keep it coming. HeirofCarthage signing out for now. I'll see you again soon.